Woo! Good morning, everybody out there in Facebook land, TikTok world, YouTube, everywhere. This is going to be going live or have a clip thereof. Welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson. And it is called Spooky Time. For today's broadcast, as you know, it is that, of course, spooky month of the time of the year. But most people are like, no, it's spooky time all the time because you get people that want to talk about, you know, Halloween and paranormal and all that good stuff on a regular basis. Well, we here like to keep it more fun and more, lighthearted and all that goody good stuff as we, talk about all kinds of things. But we do talk about horror movies, sci-fi movies, comic book movies, comic books, comic book artwork, my comic book work, those type things. And that's just what we do here. So if you do see anything, let me flip this around so that we are looking at the right way so I don't have to, you know, worry about people saying you're going the wrong way, you're not the right direction. Which is a great help to me because sometimes I do forget. So thank you, Mr. Casey out there, Mr. Roy. Whenever they do arrive, they do help me because I do sometimes forget to take off the mirror effect, which I don't understand why the mirror effect is on in the first place. So I need to go into the full settings and check that out. But welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. Those of you just showing up, welcome. We're going to be talking about spooky time as far as paranormal, horror, those type things today. I do have a bunch of stuff to go through as well that I used to get in the BAM boxes. It's horror prints and things like that that are limited edition and or uh, autographed and all that good stuff. We did get a new shipment of shirts in. One is for me, actually. Good morning, Mr. Roy, Joe, Twinkle Toes, Sparkle Butt, Bradley, Twilight Lover Jr. out there, and welcome to the broadcast booth. So, Miss Cassie got her shirt in today, or actually this weekend. I'll be shipping it off to her. Her Wonder Woman shirt. Another fan favorite that's going hot and heavy is the Wonder Woman. People are loving the Linda Carter style Wonder Woman right here. And then one shirt I got for myself was the very first Joker painting, and I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the package since it is for me. And you guys have seen it a million times, those of you that have been here on the broadcast channel already. You guys have seen this shirt in its form whenever it's in paper form. But now you get to see it in living color. Dun, 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 right there. That's a pretty awesome shirt, I'm not going to lie. It looks as good as the other one. As good as this one. This is the number one seller so far. This Joker right here. So if you want one of these Jokers or the other Joker I just displayed, pick it up, hit me up in the DMs, and go from there. Well, some of these I can't show. These comic books right here, even though they're horror related, especially this Vampirella right here, and the House of Slaughter. Those two right there. Let me get a little disclaimer here for it. All right, so I'm gonna stick that across the top, and there you go. Here's the House of Slaughter. Talking about some spooky time stuff. There's a lot of bloodletting on this one. This was my girlfriend's idea. Having a torso of a female ripped apart for this book. It's one that I drew up. House of Slaughter. Right there. Can't show you the rest of that. I'm sorry. And then, of course, Miss Vampirella here. This one was already done. This one's actually got bling on it. If you look at her belly button right there, she's got a belly button ring in, and she's also got some piercings elsewhere that are underneath the ruler here. So if you want Miss Vampirella, you can get her as well. Now, with this one, it's actually a double piece because I started drawing this one up at a convention one time, and I didn't like it, and so I repainted the entire cover with the same color as the color cover was originally, based off of some paint that I had, and I put it on there, and it was like, holy shit, this matches. So I went ahead and painted the entire cover, and then redrew the whole cover, and it looks 10 times better than it did, you know, than the other one before, and I love this one much better. But I've got four female covers right here. Bum, bum, bum. These two in the middle don't have my little disclaimer on it. This says thank you for purchasing your one of one. Because even if I were to do something similar to, it still wouldn't be exactly the same. So you're still getting one to one, no matter what, on those ends right there. We're gonna put these up here. We're gonna go through the t-shirts and all that good stuff. But it is spooky time. All this stack right here is nothing but a good time of horror right here. This is what I used to get in what's called the BAM boxes. I don't know if you guys remember those. They're still out there, still available right now. But they've changed up how they do things, and so it's a little different than how it used to be. Um, the BAM box, I did the horror subscription. I was going to start doing the comic book subscription, but then they canceled it all. They went a different direction. And thank you for the gifts. Please like, share, and follow out there for this broadcast. That helps us out. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. So the band boxes, when I did mine, I decided to go the horror route because I'm a horror fanatic. I love it. I can't get enough of it. I've seen enough of it in my life, in real life, to the paranormal side of it all. Um, and with that, and sorry for the voice because my allergies were killing me yesterday. I'm a little groggy today from the medication that I took. Um, so I do apologize. I do sound a little bit more raspy than I used to, than I normally do. But they used to have a box. It was filled with all kinds of goodies, horror merchandise and things like that. And it came with a print and an autographed picture. Now the print was sometimes a limited edition print that was numbered and had autograph on it as well. So, like this one is a limited print, but it's not autographed. So they started changing it towards the end, uh, before they killed the subscription. So this one is from Invasion of the Body Snatchers, right here with Donald Sutherland, right there. So you see, it's a double piece right here where they look like they've ripped it apart, but it is not limited edition right here in the corner. It is number 690 of 2400. But that one was not autographed. This one was not autographed. For Maniac Cop, a fun little trip down memory lane with Maniac Cop. If you've ever seen any of the Maniac Cops, they're pretty good. I mean, they're campy, of course, for when they were made, but they're pretty good. Again, that one's 277 of 2400. And then you've got Evil Dead, the new one. This one is not autographed, but it does have the signature of the artist on it. He's a pretty cool dude. I'm friends with him on Facebook. This is 1938 to 2400, black and white, right here of the Evil Dead. Then you've got Leprechaun 2. Leprechaun 2. Again, not autographed, but 807 of 2400. Right there. And anything that's autographed does come with a certificate of authenticity, like this one right here. I need to actually wipe this down before I show it off because it's been sitting there getting dusty. But it is in a protective case, so the picture is fine. This is the person that played John Carver in Thanksgiving. There will be no leftovers. But right there, you can see the big autograph right there going across it. And then this right here, if you scan this, this tells you exactly who autographed it. Just like the Final Destination picture that I showed you guys several times back. So that's an autographed picture of the guy that played John Carver, the guy that was in the Thanksgiving mask and all that good stuff. So that one's a little bit different, so that's your regular. Nightbreed, awesome piece right here. I'm a Nightbreed fanatic as well because of Clive Barker. Clive Barker is my favorite horror writer, 100%. A lot of people don't think he gets as in depth, but if you read any of his books, he gets some super in depth. Now, his newer stuff is starting to get super weird. I haven't read a lot of his newer stuff, but from what I understand, it's starting to get really, really weird. But this is a cool piece, number 132 of 150. So it is very limited right here on this end. This one does stay in my personal collection. I'll let you know which ones are up for sale if you want any of them. Because this one's going to stay in my personal collection too. I believe this was Fright Night. Right here. I'd have to scan it just to see. But you can see her signature and her vampiric teeth. I believe she was also in Married with Children, if this is the right person I'm thinking of. What's up, Casey? Welcome to the show. But this one will stay in my personal collection. About time you wake up, buddy. I'm sorry I didn't send out the invite, to join the broadcast channel. Don't forget to like, share, and follow, please. We're going over my Bambox stuff that I used to get on a regular basis. I had a subscription to Linnea Quigley horror workout. This is just those fun campy stuff that they used to do back in the in the 80s, especially about the vampire the not Vampirella, the Elvira era, whenever she did all the campy stuff and things like that. But this is number 132 of 250, and this is actually handwritten on here. I don't know if it was by her or by somebody else, but right here, the horror workout with Linnea. As you can see, her autographs right down here in the corner. It's just fun stuff. And then the person that played Mother in that movie, it was pretty horrible. I didn't like it, but that's just me. Right here. Again, I don't know all these actresses and actors' names right off the top of my head. I'd have to go scan the barcode and all that stuff. But right there, that's a pretty cool one. All in all, it was a decent movie. I'm not gonna say it was horrible. And then the person that played the minor in My Bloody Valentine, right here, his autograph. As you can see it right there. And then he wrote a little note right there on it as well. And then a good one, and that one will probably stay in my personal collection, to be honest. This one definitely will be in my personal collection. But Valak, the woman that played Valak, this is number 47 of 250. The Nun. You all know the movie. But this one stays in my personal collection, 100%. And several of these will be in my personal collection, but again, I can let you know which ones are not going to stay in my personal collection. And then Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Who will survive? And what will be left of them? Number 178 of 200. right here. The Leatherface, ginormous signature going across the entire thing. And then the kid from, I'm pretty sure this is from Last of Us, right here. I could be wrong, and this might not be the kid from Last of Us, but I'm pretty sure it is. And then Mr. Elliot from Terrifier. Dun dun dun. The kid over here, not the girl. This is Elliot right here. That one's probably staying in the personal collection. I think this is Leo, but I'm not 100% sure. But it's Ghostface. I wish it was one of the other actors down there, but it's not. It's just the one that played Ghostface in Scream right there. This one will probably stay in my personal collection as well. But this is just, some of the fun stuff that we used to get. And I've got some more already hung up and framed and all that good stuff. And I'm going to go through these real fast because none of these are autographed either, except for maybe one. I think it's that one. So we'll show it first, and then we'll go quickly through the other ones. But this is a Friday the 13th. Pretty cool cartoony piece right here. But I'm pretty sure that's their actual autograph down here in the bottom corner. And this one is number 1153 of 2400 for Friday the 13th. And then you got Ghostface number 59 of 150. Not autographed, but it's a pretty cool looking print right there. They got all kinds of horror elements in this as well. And then you got X T West dying to show you a good time from the great movie trilogy right there. You had was it Molly? I can't remember the series right now. 136, 150. Nightmare on Elm Street, as well as People Under the Stairs. This one's just a collage of horror movies right here. Number 1991 of 2000. It's a pretty cool one. It'll probably stay in my personal collection. And then another one that shows just various horror movies from Children of the Corn to Swamp Thing to, so on and so forth going on through there. Hills Have Eyes. All of that good. Number 1738 of 2000 right there. So these are just some of the cool things you can get, or used to be able to get in the band boxes that were out there. And again, they've just changed their subscription way they do things. And you used to get movie props and things like that with these subscriptions. And it was very cool to get, whenever they did come in as the months rolled along. But again, if you're looking to spend that type of money on a regular basis, that is something for you and up your alley. To get horror delivered to your inbox or your mailbox on a regular basis. And I enjoyed it for the time. But then once they changed their subscription price, or not price, but the way they did their subscriptions, where you weren't going to get autographs and things of that nature anymore, it's just like, I'm good. Cancel subscription. And it's just like everything. They did raise their price a little bit, and it's just like everything else that everybody's griping about with Netflix and Hulu, Disney, the bundle deal, and any of your streaming services that keep raising their prices on a regular basis every month. It seems like, oh, we're adding another $4. Oh, we're adding another $4. Oh, we're adding another $4. And the one person that I did see griping about, you know, the price of the $100 subscription price that she was already paying for the live TV, which included live sports and other things like that. Um, you were already at their top tier. What were you expecting, that it was going to stay $100 forever? Come on now. I mean, us that are paying the basic subscription are the ones that should be griping, because you did start out at $12 a month, and now we're at $30 a month. you know. So, and you haven't put anything really of great interest out there when it comes to what you're adding to the streaming service. As far as movie content goes, you know, you're not adding any influential movies that I really want to sit there and veg my brain on, if you will. And so it's just like, if you're going to raise the subscription price and you're going to do it every month, then you better put some new movies out there that are still in theaters without us having to pay for the price of that movie ticket, because it's kind of ridiculous that you are paying $30 for a subscription price when, well, hell, I can go get the basic cable channels for that price and kill my streaming services. And so it's just one of those little things that you got to fight with. Do you really want to keep your streaming services, or do you just want to go back to your analog TV and have the antenna and go that route? I know, Roy, you have your analog TV. You don't have any streaming services, and you don't have any internet in your house. And people are like, "Oh my God, how is he living? He must live in the Stone Age." But no, some people choose to live that way. I mean, hell, if I was in Alaska, I wouldn't have TV period except for my DVDs and and things like that. Yeah, I have Roku's all over the house. I don't have any. I don't have any of the Fire Sticks. I don't have anything like that. But my all of mine are Roku TVs, not TVs, but the streaming device itself. But through that, I've got like my Netflix subscription, which she pays for that. I've got Amazon Prime and stuff like that. So, but Roku does offer free movies as well. But you still have to have internet. You still have to have the streaming device. So depending on what you pay for your internet service, that could be your entire cost. Especially if you just watch the freebie channels. Um, but sometimes that's spooky in and of itself, wanting to pay subscription prices for streaming services, because they keep raising the price on a regular basis, and it's ridiculous. There is no reason why you should keep upping the price. You're making your millions of dollars uh, off of us hardworking Americans, or not just Americans, but all across the board. Um, because I know it's not just exclusive to Americas. You know, so if your TV can take a Americans, yeah, there you go. Casey, how the hell are you out there, buddy? You got that album dropped yet? I'm sure about 5 million people would want to order that album if you dropped it right now. 5 million Americans want that. I'm doing okay. Like I said before you got here, my allergies are killing me, so I'm a little bit on the groggy side this morning, and sounded probably a little bit more rough than I usually do, but I my allergies kicked my arse yesterday, and it's the first time in a long time that they put me down like they did. Even my nasal spray wasn't working the way it was supposed to. 39 degrees. That's awesome. It probably got down into the 50s last night here, if I had to guess. Um, but it's been in the low or high 70s, mid 80s around here. We're finally starting to feel some cool fall weather. Like in the morning times, you can feel uh, the crispness in the air, to where it's going to be like, oh, it's going to be hoodie and shorts weather soon. I try to wear shorts pretty much all year round, no matter what the weather's like outside. But that's just me personally. Um, I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, I've got to have my entire parka on and an extra. I can smell fall when I'm down south. I don't think that's fall that you're smelling if you're down south. Nah, I get what you're talking about. You can definitely tell a difference is happening with the weather here lately. And I'm surprised that we're still in, I mean, that we're almost into November, honestly, and that it is still warm outside, you know, even here in the South, because normally by about now, um, people would be like, okay, so what coat are we wearing with our Halloween costume? You know, is it going to be raining on Halloween? Do we need a raincoat and dress everybody like Georgie, from It? And and it's just like right now we're sitting at the high 70s to mid 80s, and it's just like wow, it's still kind of warm outside. You know, I mean, I'm still running the AC at this point, and and it's just like when are we going to get that crisp, true crisp coolness to the air whenever it's daytime? You know, yeah, the AC. It's running right now. Plus my ceiling fan to kick that air around in here. Nice and cool. I love it. It's awesome. Now, if you're up in the 39-degree temperatures, yeah, I can understand not running the AC, up there. But down here, we're still running the AC. If I had a swamp cooler, I'd get that going too. And then I'd be out home me some gator. Going, shoot 'em. Yeah, it's completely different when you get up farther north. I remember my time in Minnesota, and one day it would be nice in the 70s. The next day it was snow on the ground. It was a completely different atmosphere up there, and I'm sure up in like the New York, New Jersey, any of that up there towards the higher regions up there is even different. I got a friend over there who is in New Jersey area, New York ish area, Mr. Patrick Hickey, who I'm doing Legacy Comics for. His series of books, which you have a book of, Casey. Um, they're gearing up for some temperatures and some probably some storms. I think here, I have to check on him, but I hear they're gearing up for some storms here, pretty good. That could potentially turn into some snowstorms and things like that. You know, we're in the middle of it. Oh, that's cool. I mean, I want to get up in that weather, especially during the winter time. Now, a lot of people are like, no, I'm going to Hawaii or the Bahamas or, Jamaica or whatever during the winter. That's where I'm going to, stay. And I'm like, I want to go to Alaska. 8-foot snow drifts, 10-foot snow drifts. It's snowing for like 5 days straight. You can't get out. You're sitting there just trying to tunnel your way out of your own house, those type things. I just remember the pictures that my uncle used to send my grandpa, his brother, from Alaska, and they lived in Anchorage, and he was out in his long johns, and the shovel is propped up to the inside of the door on the outside of the house, but they had to tunnel their way out of the house, and so you had this wall of snow, you know, right there next to them, and they were taking the picture. Someone took the picture for them, a neighbor or whatever, and come to Maine to Eskimos, but plenty. Uh-oh, somebody got filtered. Some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. Somebody said something off color. I'm sorry about that. Who's your team? Who got killed? No, well, I can't say killed. Who got destroyed by the other football team? Because I know Oklahoma got destroyed by Texas, unfortunately. But that is what it is. That's how it goes for the rivalry. Lots of snow already. Ah, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. I know that sucks when your teams lose because our team was on a high roll, but whenever we go up against you know another team in our conference, we tend to bow down for whatever reason. I think they just needed a new coach, man. They look real good since they fired Buddy. No, I mean that does happen. It's just like a lot of coaches have already been fired from the college ranks, uh, and not just college ranks, but pro ranks as well. So, but I'm sorry that that happened. It sucked for us too. You know, now we're not going to be number 6 in the nation now. Just so ah, that sucks. But you know, if they get that right hire, they can turn the program around. You know, and I'm sure a lot of OU fans are calling for Venable's head right about now. Since they didn't beat Texas this year, and but you know what? We're still sitting at 5-1. I can't complain, like a lot of people do out there. I can't believe it. I'm done with the team. Let me burn all the stuff. But I'm a true fan. I've been a fan of theirs for a long time. But it's just like my pro team, the Dallas Cowboys. We play good games, and then we play shit games. You know. But we're talking spooky season. I mean, sports is part of spooky season because how your team plays can be spooky. From week to week, and especially in October. But we just got done doing a rundown of all of the bandbox stuff that I used to get in on a regular basis. We are adding 17 new shirts to the list of shirts. If you want to order one of these shirts, you can. These are very comfortable, very soft, very. It's actually a little bit thicker material as well. So if you're into that type of shirt, you can get one of these as well. We'll do a rundown of the shirts here in a little bit. But again, we're adding about 17 new shirts, and with that being said, there will be some more horror shirts in there that like Jeepers Creepers is going to be in there. Uh, who else is going to be in there? I can't think of all the shirts right now. I know there's some Marvel stuff. Gambit and Bishop are going to be in there. Maybe the Beast will be in there. I'm not 100% sure. I wasn't fully satisfied with that one, but it still turned out really good. Um, let's see. There'll be a couple of anime pieces in there from One Piece and Demon Slayer. So there'll be a couple of those pieces in there. So if you guys are into that type of thing, you've got those opportunities to pick those up. And again, I will be showing them just like I do whenever I hold up all the pictures, um, showing you all the different, you know, uh, shirts that we'll have available. So once I get those added in there and in the mix, we'll let you know. But right now, we don't have them in the mix just yet. They're in the process of getting the logo added to them, which, if you saw this one that I showed a minute ago, the logo is right there in the lower left hand corner. Right there. Bum, bum, bum. But this is one of my paintings. This painting belongs to Kirk Holt now. This was the very first Joker painting that I did, and it sold immediately. But this isn't as popular as my other Joker shirt, which I showed you just a second ago. This is the number one seller so far. This Joker shirt right here. Boom, boom, boom. And that's the number one Joker shirt that is sold so far. So get it while you can. It's not like it's a limited edition or anything. It's going to be sold until I change it up and do something else. Let's see here. So it's spooky time, spooky season. That means more paranormal investigations are going on. Oh, and the big buzz is that they were auctioning off the Conjuring house, but they canceled the auction because someone came in and bought the house before auction, which was to everybody's chagrin that it is a underhanded move by whoever bought it. Because even Jason Hawes was wanting it to go back to the youngest daughter, and So hopefully, whoever bought the house isn't going to destroy its legacy, because it is supposedly one of the most haunted houses in the world, uh, demonic style, kind of like the Amityville Horror House. Even though the people that live in the Amityville Horror House now, up in New Jersey, I believe is where it's at, or New York, uh, they're like, we don't have any paranormal issues going on in the house, which I think they're lying about. Because if it is as potent as the movie portrayed it to be, and all the writings and paranormal people that went into it before it was sold off again, um, there's a lot of activity. So I don't see how you're not seeing any activity, unless you just own the house and don't live in it. I mean, that could be it too. But they did change some aspects. They changed the iconic windows. They did a lot of updates to the house as well. But um, to say that there is absolutely zero paranormal activity happening in the house, I'm going to call you a liar, 100%. My house is nowhere near that level, but I still get paranormal activity happening here in the house on a regular basis. Um, things moving off of shelves, ghost figures, um, full body apparitions in the backyard, uh, EVP sessions that we capture stuff. Can't understand it most of the time, but it's there. The list goes on and on of stuff that happens in this house. And for you to live in one of the most iconic written about houses, and say and flat out look somebody in the eye and say nothing is happening since we've lived here, I think you're full of shit. Yes, a lot goes unrecognized, but I don't see how that one could go unrecognized with as much. Again, if the reports are true, that as much activity as was happening at that point in time happened, there's no way that you could unnotice or unrecognize the stuff happening around you, especially if the walls are oozing blood. It's just. And speaking of, one of my own paranormal activities here at the house was, I was going to use the bathroom, and as I'm standing there doing my Mountain Dew, um, I would have been gone in a flash, or I would have been gone with the flies. Yeah, that would be a first hint. As I was doing my Mountain Dew, uh, I looked down at the floor, and off to the side of the toilet, a pool of blood started appearing. Um, I was fully awake. This wasn't a middle of the night type session. It was either early morning or it was early evening. I can't remember which one it was. But plain as day, blood was around the toilet, around the base, on the floor. And it was just like, what the? And I look away and I look back and it's gone. I'm like, what the fuck? So that was one of my most recent, probably about maybe a month ago when that happened. I haven't talked about that yet. Um, so I still get weird stuff that happens around here, and it's just like what is the premise to it all? What are you showing me? And it's not something that I get scared about. It's just something I want to know more. You know, it's just like everybody's up in arms about the Ed Gain. And we were talking about monsters, one of the last episodes, and because it's based on the serial killers and things like that. And the first one was the Jeffrey Dahmer story. That's the one I couldn't figure out what it was, because it was the Jeffrey Dahmer story, the Menendez brothers, Ed Gain, and now we're doing Lizzie Borden with Charlie Hunnam coming back as Lizzie's father in this. A lot of people are up in arms about Charlie Hunnam's voice as Ed Gain, because he wanted to make it seem like he was, you know, that little boy to the mother. Because everybody's like, no, that's not what his voice sounds like if you listen to the tapes that are available from the interviews and things like that. um, from the police interviews, because they were like his voice was much more raspy. It was a more masculine voice than what Charlie Hunnam's portrayal of um, Ed Gein is. But it's to each their own. Like I said, they already took creative liberties in the show, so everything that you're seeing is not true. There are true aspects to the show, but they took creative liberties to fill in the gaps that we don't know about. And the only one that would be able to talk about them and know about is passed on. Okay, Ed Gein or anybody else that was in that time frame that lived in the house, which according to the documents and things like that, it was just him and his mother because even his brother had moved on. So we'll never know the true story of any of these any of the movies that we see. We'll never know the true stories. Everybody takes creative liberties. Now, that being said, if someone had documented every day of their life in a journal, that would be the only way we would know even a portion of what happened in one of these people's lives. And as far as I know, no one did that. Um, Even Lizzie Borden doesn't have a complete recollection of what happened, which is the next one coming up in the Monster series, right there. And with that being said, Lizzie Borden being one of the most iconic, all of them are very iconic. Um, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. Most people know it because it's more recent in history. Um, and the Menendez brothers, if you were alive during that whole debacle, um, you got to see it unfold. But again, you only got to see what the news portrayed. You know, no, it was just the sight of it. That's all I saw. I didn't smell any smells or anything like that, other than the Mountain Dew. You know, which meant I needed a little more water in my diet. But no, it was interesting. I mean, and that's not the first time I've ever seen something like that in my life, where I've seen a pool of blood appear out of nowhere. And but it's been a while. I think the last time I saw that was maybe 15 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, somewhere in that range. And I can't remember. I can't fully recollect what I actually saw, other than a pool start somewhere by where I was, and I just happened to look down at it too. And yeah, that's what I want to know. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't freak me out. I just want to know more. Because I do know that people did unalive themselves in the house, especially in my office, according to the the spirits that we're talking to. Oh, it was a big spot. It was a growing spot. One of those like someone had fallen, hit their head, and like you see in the movies, they're laying there, and then all of a sudden the pool starts to go draining out of their body. That's what it was doing from the base of the toilet. It was going. And no, I wasn't peeing off the toilet because I checked, just to make sure. No, it didn't scare me. Like I said, I wanted to know what the hell was going on. It was just like, what? Because I looked at it and saw it grow, and then I look away for a split second and look back, and it's totally gone. It's just like, what the hell did I just see? You know? And again, I thought, maybe I was missing the toilet, but that wasn't the case. And, and it was just my eyesight seeing it as something else. But no, it was a blood spot growing off the base of the toilet, and then like I said, I looked away for a split second, looked back, and it was gone. And I was just like, wow, what was that? And nothing scares me in this house. They try to, 100%, but I don't get rattled like that. I want to know more. I legit want to know more, about the situation, about what's going on. That's why, I want to be that paranormal investigator, because I want to know. more. Um, and I know that, certain aspects of, if we are truly talking to, a person that did take their own self off of this planet, especially because it supposedly, like I said, happened here in the office, um, then I want to know more. I mean, why haven't you passed on? Why are you still here? Why, you know? And yes, I do antagonize, which is not always the best, as the girlfriend points out. And that's why they are a little on the mad side with me. Is that, because I do antagonize, provoke, all that good stuff. Yeah, that would be totally cool. Um, I haven't seen anything like that yet. I have talked to a lot of people that have seen the battlefield soldiers, and yes, Vietnam stories, those type things would be cool to get from the perspective of the spirit, you know. And that's why I say, like, whenever I start hearing bumps or sounds that aren't making sense to me, I'll put this on, just like we did that one day. I didn't catch anything. I mean, I think there might have been something there, but I didn't hear it as I ran it back because it wouldn't hook to my computer at the time, so I could do any analysis and anything like that. But and I haven't heard any bumps or things like that. But maybe as we get closer to Halloween, that we will start to see and hear some new things happening out there. But you never know. You always hope for the best. And some people are like, no, I don't hope for the best. I don't want to see or hear anything that's going to make me a little nuts or scared or pee myself or, those type things. And I'm like, bring it on. Um, throw something across the room right now. I keep looking at my stone shelf up there because, it's pretty flat, it's level and all that good stuff. But I always look to see if anything's changed or moved, or I have a pendulum back here that, you know, I'm waiting for it to start moving like for real, you know. And of course, I've got the dowsing rods that the spirits won't talk to me through because they're upset with me and all that good stuff. But I've got crystals all over the place. Not like they did whenever we first moved in that I started to find, because we found crucifixes all over the place. An unlikely place, a crucifix in the attic. Why? When I leave, I hope I don't have to stay around here. Well, I mean, it depends on how much ready you are. But are we all are most of us ready for the great passing, the beyond, for our life to be done here on Earth? I say some. Uh, a lot don't stay. A lot have finished business, and then there's others that don't have, or that have the unfinished business, and that's why they're still here. They've got a message they want to say. They this, that, or the other, and I don't know how I feel. Am I done saying my piece here on this side, or am I going to stick around because I've still got something to say? You Will I do a haunted broadcast where someone's talking and but yet I'm still talking out there? You're in need of coffee. Go for it, man. Go get that coffee. Um, but who knows? I mean, you get all sides of the spectrum when it comes to that. You get those that believe that the spirits are hanging around because they're trapped by something, some entity that won't let them pass. Then you get the same token. Oh, excuse me. Then you get the same token of, well, they're just stuck here because they're in a residual loop. Then you get the ones that are like, well, they've got some unfinished business. That's why they haven't moved on. They haven't crossed into the light, Carol Ann. If you know, Poltergeist, the original, back in the day. Um, I think Coach is the only one still alive, as we determined on one of our other shows when we were talking about, Poltergeist and some of the Conjuring and things like that, where the hosts were like the Poltergeist crew. Everybody but Coach ended in some tragic accident. that took their life. Conjuring, you had the main star who is um, was the mother in Bates Motel as well, who ended up with scratches on her body that would leave blood, you know. And people are like, well, that's just a hoax. She made that up herself. But she was like, no, this happened on set while we were filming, certain scenes of the movie and things of that nature. But you hear in the spooky paranormal movies that some things do happen when it comes down to the whole paranormal uh, existence. And some people are like, no, that didn't really happen. So you've got your skeptics, you've got your true believers, and it's you got the people that are in between that are they're leaning one way or the other, but they're still unsure. And so, a lot of people do that. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I do. I live here. Um, you know, I've seen the orbs. I've seen unexplained activity where things are flying off the shelf where they shouldn't. I have seen, action figures that have flipped upside down. If I had an action figure here, I would show you, but where you have two action figures on the base, and then all of a sudden the one on top is flipped upside down with the card in between the two action figures. That doesn't happen. That's not how gravity works. If a figure falls, it's going to fall forward or backwards, or it's not going to fall one way or the other. It's going to fall forward or backwards. It's not going to fall side to side. Just because that's not where the inertia is. Um, that's not where the center of gravity is. And so with that, it's falling either forward and down or backwards and down. And that's not how it works here in this house. Just like how does a coin flip from, I'm going to say, 3 feet away on my crystal shelf up there and land right down here, tail side up, right here? That is impossible. Even if I hit that wall on the other side with the stack of firewood, it's only going to flip and fall straight down. It's not going to fly 3 feet through the air, land right here on the very edge of the table, tail side up. And even if it were to slide one way or the other, it's going to hit a picture frame. Or if it bypasses the picture frame, it's going to come down, hit the shelf, and then slide down and fall to the floor in the windowsill over there. And so that's an impossibility. Other than to say a poltergeist activity, pick that up, sat it down right here, and was like, "Hey, this is your reminder. I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere." And you know, just things like that you see on a regular basis. Rocks being thrown on a coffee table, that are thrown across the room instead of just dropping off the table from the vibration of the fan, the old antique fan that was there. You know, so lots of activity happens like that on a regular basis here in this house, and I'm happy for it. I welcome it. I'm not scared of it. Um, and it's just like anything else in life. You can either be scared of it or you can learn about it, and that's what I'm doing. I'm learning more and more about it, and it's like, well, cool. Welcome back, Casey. It's like, why do you want to be scared of something that you can learn from? You know, and that's if I want to be that investigator, then I have to investigate. I can't just sit back and let it all happen and not learn from it. Because why do I see the shadow figures? Why do I see full body apparitions? Why do we get EVPs? Why do we get talking points, yes or no's with the dowsing rods? Why do poltergeist activities happen? You know, the list goes on and on. And one day I'll know, you know, either from the other side or from this side, We're talking about spooks, paranormal activity. I am plagued with the shadow people. The shadow people, a lot of people have different opinions for those as far as either they're malevolent or they're protectors. You've got both sides. You got the people that will give you both aspects of it all. Um, and Lieutenant Dan has been there and done that. Well, we're talking about my haunted house right now because I live in a haunted house. We get poltergeist activity and things like that. You actually, did you feel it when you walked into it? Because some people talk about the ice cold chill that goes through them when a shadow figure passes through them. And I've been near them. I haven't had them pass through me or anything like that because I'll be laying in bed and you see them go across the doorway, or across the wall behind the TV. So it was cold and mean. And yeah, I mean, so yours was more of a malevolent one right there. I don't want to. I'm happy with the activity that's here. Um, I'm learning from it. Like I said, I've captured a lot of EVPs in this room. That's why I have this right here, and I love it. And that's why if you want to learn from it, you don't drive them out. And like I said, I've seen full body apparitions in my backyard, shadow figures all over the house, poltergeist activity. You know, I'm kind of a professional when it comes to those things. Well, cool. And and there's just a lot of questions that we have as investigators, you know. And if you're a true investigator, you don't want to, get rid of your main source goal. And I don't know. I mean, I know we've had, according to our spirits that we've talked to here at the house, um, we've had two people. Oh, I'm not afraid of them. I haven't been afraid of them since day one when I moved in here, and when it sounded like they were trying to bust down my front door, and then my side door the very next night. I was up with you know an item in hand, walking the entire house, walking the perimeter of the house, and then back to bed. The very next night, same thing happened on this side door over here. This was right outside my office window. Sounded like somebody was trying to bust down the door, and again up with item in hand on the inside, on the outside, making sure nobody was here, and then realizing, oh, it's poltergeist activity trying to get my attention. And so, and from that point on, they've tried to do things. They've scared the girlfriend, but she's gotten to the point where she, basically puts it in its place. And we live with it, and we see it on a regular basis. Like I said, yeah, we've had uh, stones thrown from coffee table that shouldn't be moved, and I mean, even the vibration of the old timey fan would only move it a little bit, and had it fallen off the table, it would have fallen straight down. No, it was thrown across the room. She's been touched by them when the bed was up against the wall and nobody could be up under the side of the bed because you had this much gap, between the wall and the bed. And she was touched on her leg, grabbed on her leg right there, the one closest to the wall. Let's see, the blood pool that I was talking about earlier, uh, right by the toilet, um, that just grew from the base of the toilet. That was about a month ago, maybe a little bit less. So we get all kinds of cool stuff around here, and it doesn't bother me. We let it happen, and like I said, I'll catch her some EVPs here and there. You we contact them through spirit sessions, the EVPs, and then dowsing rods right now. I'm about to get some more equipment in, um, some EMF detectors, some cat balls, and some. I'm looking at a spirit box as well. So that's what I'm gonna be ordering up next. Those will be the next items brought into the house. But we're also going to try and do some investigations. We've got a friend of ours that have a big hotel that they just purchased, and we're going to try and hit those because they say it's pretty haunted as well. And we've caught some pretty cool stuff out at cemeteries and things like that. Some mists that aren't there in other pictures, but they are in certain pictures. And it wasn't a cool night where you had that mixture, where fog will happen. of the heat and the cool combining together to create that fog. So you've got mist over certain graves and things like that, and then EVPs that you can't make out, but you can hear voices. It's not rustling of leaves. It's not the wind blowing through the tree branches or anything like that. But those type things. So that's how we contact right now. But soon it'll be much better. We'll have more equipment. I should already have more equipment already, but we've been dealing with a lot of other things going on because I'm an illustrator, homesteader, and ex-military as well. I'm going to go back to sleep. I'll catch you next time. All right, man. Have a good night. And thank you for being here, Mr. Casey. It's always a pleasure. Lieutenant Dan says there's something in my house, but can't quite pinpoint what it might be. I got you. See, we've already determined from ours, from the talks, you stay safe and you stay aware too, brother. Especially up north where you're at, in all that coldness. Back to Lieutenant Dan's section. We've determined that two people have taken their selves off the planet here in this house. One happened right here in this office, in my office, and so we're. I'm pretty sure that's where most of our stuff comes from, if I had to guess, but not 100% sure because we can interact with these guys and girls. It's two men and one woman, and they're all brothers. They're all related. They're brothers and sisters, and so we're not sure where the true malevolency comes from with the poltergeist type activity, because we can carry on a conversation with these three and not have any problems, you know. But then, like I said, you get the poltergeist activity where things are being thrown off the shelves, landing right side up, you know, on the ground, or like I was saying before, yeah, my girlfriend has some action figures on the dresser that are butted up against each other, and there's another one sitting on top. Well, when things fall, they either tend to fall forwards or they tend to fall backwards. Well, this gets flipped upside down, still facing the way it should, but upside down, and the top card, if you know action figures, they've got a top card to most of them, for the hanging portion, where the hang tag hole is and all that stuff. And they'll be flipped upside down, slid in between the other two, and still facing the same direction, just upside down. You know, that's not how gravity works. So, and it's just like my hobo coin up here that flipped from that shelf that sits right up there, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. That shelf right there, underneath the do not try, there's a hobo coin sitting right behind the alien, right there next to Kate Beckinsale. And it flipped from there to right here. To right here. But this was actually pushed farther back. Right there. This was pushed farther back because this wasn't here yet. But this was pushed farther back, and it landed tail side up right there on the table. Awesome. Are they the original ones, like with the hair and all that stuff, or the actual GI Joe action figures? I wouldn't call them dolls, but like from the 80s. Okay, the 90s. Okay, I got you. But there's no physical way that that coin could have landed or have gone from that shelf that I just showed you to right here. Tail side up. It's a physical impossibility. It's a theoretic nightmare of a scenario for it to actually have to travel that far to here at all. So the only thing I can chalk it up to is that something physically picked it up in the other realm and set it right down here to let me know, hey, I'm here. It flew. Yeah. Unfortunately, the way I have my camera, I do have a camera that captures everything in here. But it did not capture that because off to the right hand side of it, my left hand, its right hand. And, so it flew from there to here and landed tail side up right here. And there's no way it could. Even when I hit the wall with the chopped lumber, for my fireplace, my firewood out there, it only moves some things a fraction of an inch whenever on that shelf, on that on that acrylic shelf, and uh, and it's behind other stones. I've captured, like I said, an orb from right in here while I was talking about the puzzle box from Hellraiser. I have a fake one, but it still moves, and you still can configure it to different things. And I was holding it right here and talking about it, and next thing I know, you see an orb come off camera and go right into my hat. And I even showed it to other paranormal investigators, and they were like, "That's pretty cool," you know. And so I get orb captures in my library where I do have haunted artifacts. I do have a haunted gesture doll in there, and some of the other stuff that I have in there is possibly haunted as well, but I'm not 100% sure. But there's always a ramped up, amped up activity in there. You can see the orbs flying left and right, and you can tell the difference between dust particles and uh, moths or gnats or anything like that, as opposed to an orb, um, because there's a distinct characteristic to orbs as there is to flying bugs, you know, flies, moths, gnats, anything like that. Um, but yeah, we capture stuff like that all the time. Like I said, I've captured a few EVPs from in here that aren't on here, but they're on the computer and things like that. So that's awesome. That's very cool. And I'm sure if I were to delve into some of the objects that I have here from my grandfather from Germany in World War II, um, I could probably pick up some things from that if I had to guess. But I don't want to display some of it because it would make me look like I'm something I'm not. If you catch my drift, if you're military, you'll understand um, what I'm talking about in a specific flag from Germany, from a specific dictator. But anyway, um, but no, I do have a lot of horror stuff here in the house. I've got a lot of stuff that carries energy, um, as well as the whole crystals that I have in the house. Now, whenever I first moved into the house, I still don't know the full history of the house. It was built in the 60s, somewhere in that point in time. And it was basically been owned by one family up until a certain point. You know, I kept it in my room, and that night something touched me in my sleep at the foot of my bed. That's pretty awesome. I mean, I know it can be disturbing that something's touching you in your sleep, just like my girlfriend had the something grab her leg on that left hand side, you know, and 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 that's awesome, Lieutenant Dan, um, because I mean, most people don't get that experience, you know. And if you are a paranormal investigator and things like that, then that's the footage that you really want. That's the experiences that you hope for as an investigator. And a lot of people are like, fuck no, I don't want that experience. No, if you're gonna be call yourself an investigator, you better have experiences, your own experiences to back it all up. Because mine started when I was a kid. And if you want to get into spooky time, storytelling, here we go. So I was staying with my aunt and my cousins, and it was late at night. We'd been talking, my cousin and I. His bedroom, was separate from everybody else's, and we'd been talking most of the night. And it was probably about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, somewhere in that, almost the witching hour stuff. My buddy had a farmhouse that was built on an Indian burial ground, and he had all kinds of that. See, that's pretty awesome, right there. And so we'd been talking. It was probably about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, getting close to that witching hour. That 3 o'clock, 2:30 to 3:30 time frame. And so he gets up and goes to the bathroom. We were winding down for the night to finally go to sleep. And next thing I know, he's running out of there full speed, jumping under his covers, whole 9 yards. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? You know? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of scared because I'm a kid. I'm like 8 years old, 9 years old. And I'm like, well, shit, I got to go to the bathroom now. And I don't know what's going on in there because he just came flying out and he's not saying anything. So I finally just give up and like, man, I gotta pee. So I go in there, do my mellow yellow down in there, the Mountain Dew, and I start hearing some scratching. Well, Aunt's got cats, okay, and I know she's got mice and things like that that could be in the walls. And so I'm looking around, thinking the cat got stuck in his room because the door was shut to his room, and I'm like looking around. Okay, I don't see any cats. I don't see any mice, anything like that. So I wash my hands, getting ready to leave. I flip the light off, and I hear it again. I'm like, what the hell? I know I just looked around. I didn't see any cats. I didn't see any mice. I didn't see anything like that. So I flick the light back on, look around some more, start looking towards the base of the toilet, open up the cabinets where the toilet paper and stuff like that is. Not seeing anything, and so I start listening to the walls. I'm not hearing anything now. So I flip the light off again and turn to leave, and I hear it one more time. I flip around, start scanning the dark area, and next thing I know, I see two red eyes in the base of the mirror, in the medicine cabinet mirror. And I'm like, oh hell no! I run, get under the covers as well, and ended up falling asleep at some point in time. But that was my demon experience. That was the first time I saw a demon. I was probably, like I said, about 8 or 9 years old, and um, if you've ever seen, you know, the whole Amityville Horror, the movie that came out back in the what was it, the 70s, um, and where the two red eyes are outside the window that the girl was talking to, the daughter was talking to. That's the experience I had. You know, it's crazy when I figured out the spirits can read your mind and thoughts. I had a similar experience, but yes, 100%, because for some reason they're in there. They know what's going to scare you the most and try to feed off of that fear so that they can get that energy. As well as that's why you have your spirit boxes and things like that, REM pods and all that good stuff, so that they can draw off that energy, you know, and be able to talk to you in a coherent way, and that type of thing. But that's my my demon story, and from that point on, I've seen like I said, shadow figures, full body apparitions. I haven't seen any more demons that I know of, but there's always something present around me. Just like the other day, we were here, and I'm pretty sure a white mist figure went through the room because I saw it go from behind me over to this way because I was separated from the mic buffer here, and you could see it go between here and then over this way, and so that was pretty cool. So, Lieutenant Dan, what was your experience? Enlighten us, please. We want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. If you remember the Inquirer back in the day, when that was their famous tagline. So, but no, this is the stuff that we talk about here. Besides the comic book artwork and my artwork, and of course, other movies as far as horror movies, sci-fi movies, and things like that go. I saw eyes in a sunroof of the house skylight, or the skylights. Yeah, um, that's pretty cool. Well, how old were you? Because see, the very next day I debunked anything that could have been happening because 18, 19, that's pretty cool. Because the way his room is set up, the curtains were closed. The mirror is on the back side of the wall as soon as you come in to the bathroom, right directly to to around the corner. Bathtub was over to the right, far right. Toilet was next to the bathtub, and then the medicine cabinet and all that stuff was directly as soon as you walk in the door to the right. So there's no way tail lights could have been causing that because the way the mirror sat. There's no way that any light source was coming from the door, which was right next to the doors were next to each other. So you had the outside door going into the house, and then the bathroom door was right there in the corner. So again, nothing, no light reflecting could have caused those two eyeballs to be moving in the bottom of that corner cabinet. And because there was no night lights in the bathroom, there was no cats in the bathroom, anything like that. So, you know, I was thinking to myself, don't blink for some reason. I had an app that reads things. It told me don't blink. Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm sure you were scared. Maybe I don't know. But that is a terrifying thing for a kid. I mean, yeah, you were 18, 19. I was 8 to 9. You know, so 10 years difference. So for me, I'm glad I had already Mountain Dude. You know, and or I would have Mountain Dude everywhere. I'm sure. Oh, you're only 21. Okay, cool. So you're still a young pup. I've got you by 30 plus years. Just saying. But in my lifetime, I've seen so many different things. It's not even funny. And I chalk each one up to experience that's being gleaned into me, and listening to other people tell their stories. Finally, because there's a lot of people that don't want to tell their stories. There's a lot of people that are like, well, people are going to think I'm crazy. Well, people are going to say that I've seen Bigfoot, I've seen UFOs. I haven't seen aliens yet, but I've seen UFOs. I've seen things I can't explain out in the woods that, you know, um, if you just sat there and talked about it or even tried to debunk it, you can't. I feel like I had a past life, but I'm not going to get into that. And a lot of people do, because that's where you get the whole um, past life experiences, where you get some deja vu of certain things and when you're in certain areas. Um, and I'm sure that if, disclaimer, if you believe in past lives, then you believe in what he's talking about right here. You know, if you don't believe in past lives and that you were born thanks to a mighty creator and you're going to die and go meet that creator in the end times, which everybody seems to think is right now. No man knows the day nor the hour that the end is going to arrive. So anybody that tells you that they know exactly the date that it's going to happen is a fucking idiot. Okay. If you believe in that side, the spiritual side of it, read the Bible. It's going to tell you exactly what you need to know. But if you believe in past lives, then a lot of people feel like they're recreated or reborn from some other past out there. Some have been able to tell you exactly what happened leading up to, Jesus' passing. Some people can tell you exactly what happened during the Roman Crusades. Some people can tell you exactly what happened during um, the Christian Wars, those type things, the Crusades, so on and so forth. Some people claim that they are the reincarnation of um, Joan of Arc, of, you know, the list goes on and on. You can find those people out there all over the place. But you got to keep an open mind to it all. You can't just close yourself up. Well, they're just a kook. They're just an absolute nutball. Those type of things. Because if I can tell you exactly what happened, you know, say I'm reincarnated from Bonnie and Clyde. I'm Clyde. You know, and I can tell you exactly what car I drove, the specs to it, what kind of machine gun I had, how many banks I did, so on and so forth down the line, and I can give you exact accounts of what happened leading up to, oh, we just got plastered by the police. How can you debunk that? Just because someone read a lot of knowledge back in the day and they're like, oh, well, that's the only reason they got all that information. But no, if I can tell you stuff that isn't in the history books about the whole incident, are you still going to believe that person? Probably not. And that's where our society is in today. A lot of people don't believe squat that people tell them, and it's sad that people won't listen to their story. Yeah, it gets completely tricky, 100%, because um, you could have the best intentions in the world and know for a million% of a fact that you were reincarnated from one of these historical figures through life, or even just a commoner, out there in life. Well, now who's to say that that isn't real? Because it's real to you. You can see it in your mind's eye, 100%. The accounts of everything that happened, and then, like I said, you get those huge deja vu moments where, wait a minute, I've been here before, but it was different. This wasn't here. This wasn't here. There used to be a field here. There used to be a farmhouse over there. There used to be, those type things. And you can recount and tell exactly how that place looked before it became a boomtown, if you will, before anything moved in there. And that's what happens when I listen to some old songs. And see, that's cool. I mean, you're only 21 years old, and you're getting into that section of, you know um, the aspects that you've got going on with your life, that you're in touch with that side of it all. And so, do you feel like you were a singer at one point in time? Excuse me, or maybe like a Great Gatsby moment where you're at these parties listening to these songs, uh, those type things. That those are things you got to look at in your own life. Is that, either you were the one singing the songs those feelings are happening whenever you're getting those songs, especially the older songs. And when you say old songs, do you mean like 1920s, 1910s? Because 1800s would be a completely different thing. So the 60s, okay. So the Buddy Holly experience. Unfortunately, I'm not. I really hate to say it. The Beatles experience, um, Rolling Stones, David Bowie. I mean, the list goes on and on of the bands from that era, that continued on even until today. Uh, because the Rolling Stones were old in the '60s, but I mean, Keith Richards should be gone. I mean, I think he's a vampire, but as most people believe, poor guy. Great musician, but dude, come on. But no, it's all relative to what you believe. If you believe that's where you need to do the research. Why are these songs bringing up memories for you? Were you part of an aristocratic family that these songs were performed for you at a banquet, or whatever, in your honor, or were you reincarnated from one of these guys, you know, or girls? I mean, because I've seen where guys have been resurrected or reincarnated from a female person back in the day. Janis Joplin. You hear accounts about that. So and if that's what you want to believe, then do the research. Figure out why these items bring up memories in you. You know, I get the strange feelings and memories for some reason. Well, like I said, that's where you got to do the research. No one else can do the research for you. Now, if you believe in the spiritual mediums and the fortune tellers and things like that, get in touch with one of those. They can potentially help you, um, draw into that past life, and figure out, if you were just a bystander at one of the shows, the concerts, or whatever. I am not a spiritual medium. I do tend to get a lot of feelings and information and stuff like that, but I am not. I just see things. Like I said, in the spiritual realm of, shadow figures, full body apparitions, those type things. I don't get the readings and things like that. I do have tarot cards here at the house. I don't delve into those. We have Ouija boards here at the house. Don't delve into those very often. I'm a Virgo, unfortunately, so the sign of the Virgin, but I'm definitely not. I want to talk to is my son, who did pass on when he was 17. You know, and he's the one that I would want to talk to, but I'm pretty sure he isn't here anymore. His spirit went on, which is fine, which is good for him. But I have questions, those type things. Uh, and a parent isn't supposed to bury your children; it's supposed to be the other way around. But here we are. Ex-military as well, so combat veteran here, infantry, and I've seen a lot of things that I can't explain when I was in Afghanistan as well. Um, so yeah, it. I've been around the world, and I. If you know that song, you know, If you know, you know. But no, you know, I've seen too many things to just be like, that's not happening. No, I've seen way too many things that are unexplained that I have to believe in what I've recollected in my lifetime. Just like I said, I've seen UFOs in many different configurations. Here up in Fayetteville area, in Oklahoma, where I used to live. Um, Seen them in Texas, you know, and then all the different spiritual encounters that I've seen as far as the paranormal side, with like I said, the spirit figures, the full body apparitions, the white mist figures, the shadow figures, the demon, so on and so forth, and then the poltergeist activity just from my own house, you know. Um, but you can go find you a spiritual medium. Uh, I I would say avoid the tarot card readers, uh, the the palm readers. Go find you an actual mystic, uh, spiritual reader, that a spiritual medium that can tap in to why these memories, or why these certain songs and things like that spark memories in you. That would be my advice. And I'm sure, what state are you in? Don't tell me the town, just the state that you're in, because I think you already told Casey. Maybe Oregon. Is that where you said you were? I'd have to go back and look, but okay, I was right. Um, then I'm sure you can find one there pretty easy. Oregon is a pretty big state, um, and I'm sure that there's plenty there that you could find and glean from, um, that can help you out. If I had to guess, I don't know much about Oregon other than the Oregon Trail and all that good stuff, um, but yeah, I'm sure that you can find somebody there that can help you in that realm. Now it might be something. I mean, they might be advertised in the phone book. Which, what's a phone book? Now, just look for somebody in your area from Facebook, or something like that, from some ad on you know uh, Google or something, because I'm sure that you've got spiritual mediums that you can find on Google in your area, pretty easy. And that would be my recommendation, especially if you don't know yourself, or if you don't want to, you know, do a hypnotherapy session. Um, that's another realm to go with, to get past life experience from. Uh, and a lot of people claim that hypnosis is bogus in and of itself, um, because the only people that can be hypnotized are the weak of mind. Not true, but yes, it is semi true. Uh, because one of my football coaches tried to do that shit with all of us, and I'm like laying there and listening to him do his whole meditation, and getting into his crooning voice of, you are now hypnotized, and you're going to be fully relaxed, and once you wake up from the session, you'll be so relaxed, and so I'm looking around and like, how many people are believing this shit? I'm in central Arkansas, actually up north of Arkansas, or I can't say up north because we're not quite midway in Arkansas. I'm in the Fort Smith, Arkansas area. I don't care if people know where I live because it doesn't matter to me. You're not going to find me. But I do go to comic book conventions and horror conventions and things like that with my artwork and stuff like that. So I don't know much about that place, and a lot of people don't. This is the great historic Western town. We have a Marshall's Museum that just opened up in Fort Smith area. A lot of Western history is from here, um, especially around Civil War time, and we have a lot of national parks here. There's a lot of great stuff to do outdoors if you love to be outdoors, like hiking, hang gliding, rappelling. I mean, the list goes on and on. So, a lot of stuff to do here if you love to be outside. Uh, just like crystal mining, we do that periodically. We try to do that once a month. We did the diamond mine thing, but we struck out there. We got a few rocks and things like that. But as far as crystal mining is a lot better. I mean, we find stuff like this right here. You know, right there, showing everybody. That's just one of them. I've got a whole truck full right now. So, but that's what we do around here. We go out and dig crystals and things like that. Like I said, we try to do that once a month, and so far we've done it 3 months. You know, not straight, but we did 2 months in a row, and we look to do more. So maybe next month we'll hit another one. But we've been going to the Avant Crystal Mine up in Mount Ida. We're going to look at a couple others as well. But it is fun. So, but that's my recommendations to you, Lieutenant Dan. Um, you got some new legs, um, and but yeah, find that spiritual medium and or hypnosis would be my two options to give you on that note. Now, another thing you can try and do is do a recording overnight. Ask yourself out loud, what was my past life before you go to sleep, because sometimes people talk in their sleeps and they can give themselves information. And if you have a recorder going all night long, you might pick up something that is said either by you or by your past self. That's just another option. So there's three options right there. I have almost the same palm lines as my grandma. It's strange. Well, I mean, a lineage. Um, and I'm not going to say you're reincarnated from your grandmother because she's still here with you, right? Um, so that would be a nigh impossibility. um, but I have no grandparents left. My parents are getting up there in age, which, any day now I could get a phone call. Hey, they've passed on. Those type things. And then I'll have just my brother, and my nephew, and then my girls, of course. But that's on my side. On that side of the family, it'll just be my brother and then my cousins, uh, my aunt, and because my mother will, she's in her, I think she's 84. My stepdad, my dad passed away when I was like 8 or 9, so around the same time I was seeing a demon, those type things. So, and it's good that you still have grandparents and aunts and uncles still with you at this present juncture. I have none of that. No grandparents, no aunts or uncles left, except for one aunt. Um, but it's not like we talk on a regular basis. As my mom's sister, uh, and it's periodically if we do talk. And it happens to be when my mother is talking to her on the phone or something like that. But and I'm 3 hours from my mother, So correct. A lot of people here have already lost everybody, including parents. You know, and that's how I can talk to different people about different things because I've lost a parent, I've lost a sister, I've lost a son, you know, I've lost grandparents, I've lost aunts and uncles. So I can talk from all aspects of it and how it all sucks, you know. and that's unfortunate, man. But I say unfortunate, but sometimes that is protecting the grandchild, the child of the parent who either had a horrible, abusive parent, and they didn't want their children to know, hey, your grandparents are this type of person, those type of things. Um, and again, that's unfortunate, but it is there to help protect. It's not there to hurt or to lie to. It's just that, hey, your grandparents aren't in the picture. I'm not going to tell you why just yet. Once you get older, then I'll explain why your grandparents aren't in the picture. Um, and so sometimes it's best to say your grandparents are no longer with us. Um, my mom and dad aren't with us. Those type of things, just to protect the child, um, which is a sad state of things. But again, to protect your child, sometimes that's what has to happen. And so that person that didn't even know who their grandparents were, that could be the whole situation. Um, but I'm not saying that that is the whole reason why. Now, some people just get estranged from their parents, just like my kids are believing to believe whatever my ex-wife told them, and they still keep in contact with her, even though she has no parental right to them whatsoever. She was just a stepmom, but they are believing whatever truth she told them after the divorce, and they haven't spoken to me in 3 years. So, you know, so now my kids are estranged from me because of whatever she said, whatever she told them, you know, and I'm guaranteeing she left out some big parts, 100%. But again, I was no angel in our relationship and in our marriage of nearly 12 years. Well, it was 12 years once it was finalized. But, you know, they aren't asking me what my side of the story is, which they will get a letter and all that good stuff, you know, with my truth in it. And, it's like, well, I would really like to know what you told my children, but it's not for me to know what you told them, what my ex-wife told them. You know, this is divorce number 2, and there won't be a divorce number 3 because there won't be a marriage number 3. Unlike her, who just got remarried as of this past Saturday, not this Saturday, but the Saturday before, I believe the 11th. And what is today? Today is the no, not the 11th, the 4th, October 4th is when she got married again. Which I'm surprised she did an October wedding, but it is what it is. It's none of my business, and I don't care. But the only thing I care about is this guy going to be a dick to my kids? That's the only thing I need to know, because if that's the case, somebody's going to be visiting me in jail, you know. And as a parent, you always want to protect your children from anything. And if I find out anything that happens that he crossed the line, you guys will be watching a jail show, because homie don't play that. But there you go. But Lieutenant Dan, what I would tell you is to document every experience you have. My documentation from my experiences come right here. If you want to go back and find some of the stuff that I've talked about, um, we talk about it quite a lot on my live shows. Now I know all of them don't stick around. That a lot of them get taken out or deleted. Like Facebook deletes uh, live content after a while, after about a month or so. And so I would recommend documenting everything, starting from your first experience to the most recent experience. Get it written down, even if it's in the notes in your phone, excuse me, or some note on the computer. That way you have documented proof of, hey, at this age, at this age, at this age, this, and if you can remember the exact dates and times, that's even better. Now, I haven't done any of that my own self. I'm speaking to myself too, you know, and have I consulted a psychic medium? No, I have not. Do I know some? Yes, I do. Um, and you have those self-proclaimed ones on TikTok, and then as soon as you like their post, you get one that's exactly the same name, but just not as many pictures. That is a fake account coming in, sliding into your DMs, being like, "Hey, I read the Cosmos and blah blah blah, and I need you to contact me now so that we can do a reading for you." Whereas if you follow the original one that says we will not contact you in your DMs, we want you to contact us only, you know somebody's fake. You know, so and I get that a lot. I'll follow somebody in the psychic or paranormal realm, and then within you know 3 to 5 minutes of me following them, boom, here they are in my DM, but it's not them; it's from a different account. They followed me back, and or they followed me, and I'm supposed to follow them back so that I can believe that they are the real deal that I was following originally. Excuse me, which is not the case. Oh, so just be mindful of that. Just be careful of that because there are a lot of scammers out there, and that's everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Blue Sky, blah blah blah. All the different social media programs that are out there that people flock to. There's a lot of scammers and bots out there. So just discern the best you can which one is going to work for you if you want to contact one through uh, TikTok or Facebook or anything like that. But I would recommend a Google search of a psychic medium or a hypnotherapist in your area and try to do the recording overnight. Ask yourself the same question over and over again before you go to sleep. And then have that recording going so you've got what you asked. And if anything happens throughout the night, then you've got the recording of it going on. And I'm sure your phone has uh, record voice memo capabilities out there as well. Um, I mean, you can even try that one first uh, before you go off into a psychic medium and or a hypnotherapist. So, but those are just some options to give you to try and figure out what's going on in your own life as far as past life recollection, and or if it's just old songs trigger memories that don't have to do with past lives. It's just something that as a kid, say your grandmother or your mom or your dad or someone was playing this song, and it brought up memories. And that could be what it is. As a 1 to 2 year old child, toddler, someone was playing these old songs, and that's just what you're remembering whenever you hear them. Uh, because some people even have recollections of the minute they were born. I saw the bright light, as I was coming out, you know, and I heard everything that was being said in the room. I heard my parents. I want to see the child. I want to see the baby. I want to see. Well, it's a boy. It's a girl. Those type things. Me, I do not have that recollection. And so, what's up, Mr. Kirk Holt? And welcome to the broadcast booth here. Again, I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, The Art of Monty Anderson. We have been talking about the spiritual realm of things as far as past life, as paranormal activities and things like that. And my people didn't listen to that type of music much. So were they more into this religious music over the 60s music that you're listening that is bringing up the recollections? It's just my guess. It's either country or they were into the religious music. If I had to guess, that'd be one of my two options. Unless they were into some heavy metal. No, just new music. Oh, okay, okay, I got you. And so, you know, that's just well, I mean, it is spooky time, Mr. Kirkle, and it is, we've been that's the stuff we've been talking about today is, getting Lieutenant Dan some help for his, possible past life uh, intersection that he's got going on in his life, where he hears specific music and it brings up memories that he's not sure about. So we're trying to get him some help with that right there, and so I've recommended him to a spiritual medium and or a recording session of him at night. And it's 3:57 here. It is 5:58 here. It is almost 6 a.m. in the morning here in Central America. Central America. And some people are going to bed at this point in time. Some people are just not getting up. Like Ozzy said, success is measured by the number of people you offend. 100%. We're not here to offend anybody, because if you get offended, you need to go check yourself at the door. We're here to help people. And, you know, like Lieutenant Dan and I were talking about just a little bit ago, uh, we both have, he's a lot younger than me and a lot younger than you are. And he's got a lot of experience in the paranormal realm. And I've gleaned a lot of knowledge through my 54 years on Earth, and the stuff that I've seen from Afghanistan to here to, Watonga, Oklahoma to, other places that I've stayed, up in Minnesota and things like that. And you have to say Minnesota. You can't just say Minnesota. You got to say Minnesota. Eh? And no, not everybody talks like that, but a lot of the people I was around did talk like that. But I just turned 54, so um, from Aldi to Minnesota. That's awesome. So your dad is a year younger than me, huh? He's 53. So were you born? He was born what, in 72, and I'm 71. Yeah, mine was Kabul, Afghanistan. So good old 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. here now in Central America. Central America. Well, it's like my youngest daughter. She's 24, so she's roughly about your age, you know. And we tried, but we had 5 miscarriages before she took. So she is, yeah, Kabul or Kabul, however you want to say it, Kubal. Um, and so, it's like we tried to have her earlier in life, but it was 10 years after my youngest or my middle daughter was born. And so that could be the same thing with your parents. Something happened that they, you know, are you an only child or do you have siblings? It is what it is, I guess. My girlfriend's favorite saying. She even has it tattooed on her arm. One brother. Okay, so you're the youngest, I'm assuming. Of because I've got an older brother. He was born in '64. My sister was in '65, and I was born in '71. So there was almost a 10-year gap between us as well. So I said almost. I know that that's the math portion there. And so it took us nearly 10 years to get my youngest. You want this shirt too? This one's a little bit more expensive. Um, oh, your brother's only 16, so he's younger than you. So you're the old. So you're the old man of the group of the brothers. I got you. So and yeah, we can order you one of these. Do you want that schmedium again? No, this shirt is very comfortable. We'll talk. We can get you one of these. I'll get you a price because I don't even know. This one is like I said, a little more expensive than the regular $20 shirts. So, but it is an all over shirt. It has the logo everywhere, including the back. The back is a much bigger print than the front, but it looks really cool. So, I mean, that could be possibly the correct answer, right there. Um, I'd have to go look again because I don't know right off the top of my head what the actual price is on the shirt, but it cost me a little bit, a lot more. than the regular shirts. So, but I had to have it, and the girlfriend has one too. So, but it puts us out there, 100% as the logo goes and all that good stuff. But all right. So try those suggestions. Try the recording session first at night. I would even start with tonight. But remember, Lieutenant Dan, to document. You didn't miss the whole show. You missed a portion of it, like an hour and 45 minutes of it. Because we're almost 2 hours on the show so far. I need to get better at sending out the invites to people. And um, I got to figure out how that happens. So, yes, document every experience that you have. If you can give dates and times, that's even better. Absolutely have your evidence, and whenever you people are like, well, that's a bunch of bullshit. I'm gonna have to debunk that. Well, here's what happened. This is the date. This is the time, and then this is what happened. Whenever that paranormal session or paranormal thing happened to me on that date and time. Then you have it all backed up, with evidence. And if you can get footage or EVPs, that's even better. Um, that's why I have cameras inside my house. I mean, originally it was for the animals that we had, but once we started picking up, orbs and things of that nature and things moving, because we would get motion detection happening in my hallway, which shouldn't happen, but it does uh, on a regular basis. It's just like, well, document, get the evidence, save that little clip of footage, off of anything. I went through a law enforcement program, so okay, cool. So the evidence collection process is the most important process of it all, because that's how you can catch the bad guy. So, well, see, I worked with law enforcement too, doing the job that I did, and we had to do our evidence collection as well. So, we had people living in our attic, like as in physical people. I've heard of those stories, where people find people living in their attic or their crawl space under their house, you know, where squatters have gone to live. And there was one guy that was living in a basement that even had a TV down there siphoning power from upstairs. And it's just like, well, if he had that much stuff going on down there, he almost finished your basement for you, you know. And you might as well just finish the basement renovation, and boom, you've got a whole nother house under your house. I removed them. Well, I can understand that. You don't want people just squatting in your house. Unfortunately, you know, squatters have more rights than some owners do sometimes, which is sad. But I'm listening because the pig is up. Miss Bacon Bit. Yep, there she is. All right, folks, I'm gonna have to go. I gotta let some animals outside and let some animals out of their coop. The chickens and ducks and geese and stuff like that. Yes, I do homestead, like I said, and I appreciate each and everybody being here. Dan, you can hit me up at any point in time. Kirk, we'll talk about this shirt. We can talk about that here in just a little bit. But I appreciate each and everybody being here for our almost 2 hour show today about spooky time. And you guys are great. Um, yes, I understand you guys do. But that's the nature of your business. And no, you're good. You can always go back and listen to the show if you want to. I will be posting some clips here in just a little bit as well. But I do appreciate each and everybody being here, and I'm going to get better at sending out invites to people, so that you can come to the live show when it's happening. I just got to figure that out. I'm not that smart when it comes to sending out the invites and things like that, but maybe I'll get there. But again, I appreciate each and everybody. Don't forget to like, share, and follow these shows whenever you hit them here, and be sure to follow here, and I will follow you back. So, and I appreciate the gifts. That all goes back to the printing process of all of the shirts, the prints, the canvas prints, and things of that nature. It goes back into art supplies as well. So, again, I appreciate each and everybody being here. And as I like to say, as I leave you guys, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.